So let us now see how to understand the increasing and decreasing pattern of a function using the graph of the function. For that, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the x-axis, y-axis and I'm going to draw a curve which is increasing and explain from that. Okay, I have taken a x-axis, y-axis. Let me take a curve which is increasing. And now I'm going to choose 2 points, say A and B on the graph. Let A have coordinates x1 and obviously the y coordinate of A will be f of x1 because A lies on the function, that is the equation of the graph is now going to be taken as y equal to f of x. And let B have x coordinate as x2, so the corresponding y coordinate will be f of x2. Now, what can we say about the connection between x1, x2 and the connection between f of x1 and f of x2? That is what we are going to discuss now. Okay, we are able to see very clearly that x1 is less than x2 because this is going to have x coordinate as x1, this is going to have x coordinate as x2 and they lie on the x-axis. Therefore, the y coordinates will be 0. We are able to clearly see that x1 is less than x2. What can you say about f of x1 and f of x2? Is it not very clear that f of x1 is less than f of x2? So other way around, let me choose it as x2 is greater than x1. What can you say about f of x2 and f of x1? Is it not very clear that f of x2 is greater than f of x1? Even if we choose some other point in between here or here, comparing the x coordinates, if we get that one is less than the other, for an increasing function, we will see that the y coordinates will also follow the same pattern. That is, the inequality will be maintained in case of an increasing function. Now let us see what will happen for a decreasing function. Now I am going to take a set of x-axis, y-axis. Let this be y-axis and say x-axis. Now let me take a decreasing curve and choose 2 points, say C and D, and let me drop the perpendiculars from C onto the x-axis as well as from D onto the x-axis, and let the coordinates of these two be, say, x3 and x4. And let me call these points as C and D. C will have coordinates as x3 comma f of x3 and D will have coordinates x4 comma f of x4. Now, what can we say about the connection between x3 and x4? Is it not very clear that x3 is less than x4? But what can you say about f of x3 and f of x4? Don't you see that it is less? That is, what I mean to say is f of x3 is less than f of x4. So, the inequality is not maintained. So, we have to understand that in case of a decreasing function, the inequality will not be maintained, whereas in the case of an increasing function, the inequality will be maintained.